not as familiar with kind of some of your Zoom tools. One of those is that you definitely want to probably mute yourself. Looks like most people are. However, when those who will be presenting come on, they will unmute. But in the bottom left corner is your little microphone, and you can click on that, and that will turn off your microphone. And then if you would prefer not to have your visual, there's also the stop video. Now, because most of the evening will be done with one person presenting at a time, you might want to shift from gallery view to speaker view. And if you go to the top right corner, you'll see a little icon that says view with about 9 dots. If you click on that, you have choices there of speaker or gallery, and you might choose to click on speaker. And if you're having any challenges or something, you'll notice along the bottom of your screen a little thing called chat. And Carlos Navarro, who is on site, can receive chat messages if there's something that you would, if you're needing a little bit of assistance. So the annual gathering is an opportunity for us to often celebrate the year. There's a lot of hard work that goes on throughout the year by NMIPL. Our board of directors as a nonprofit is all volunteer, as well as the majority of our staff and those who support the work. And so before going into that space, I want to invite us to ground ourselves. And by grounding ourselves, that is an invitation to realize kind of the ancient land that we are dwelling upon, since most probably joining this evening are here in New Mexico, and of our Puebloan ancestors and brothers and sisters, and of the Tewa people and language. And so we honor and we acknowledge and we are grateful that we share this land and that they have been stewards of it for so many years. And from that space, we acknowledge that we are a people who have a passion for this earth, and that's what unifies us. And our faith also connects us to the work that we do with NMIPL. And so as I name our different board members, please know that there is a representation of many faith traditions, and we find and know that our work is grounded in that interfaith dimension. But I'd like to acknowledge all of the board members: Tom Stark, Judy Smith, Todd Windward, Najib Orhan, Terry Sloan, Charlotte Smith, Araceli Chapa, Ruth Strigel, Ann McCartney, Arcelia Asayas Gastelum. And then we also have our executive director, Sister Joan Brown, who will be addressing us this evening, and other different members that support her work, kind of on the ground of our staff, which is Emily Seil, Carlos Navarro, Jenny Muggenberg, BJ Edwards, Rita Snyder, and Cheryl Foote. And we also have many people who've previously served on the board or are on different committees, and many of them are in this circle tonight, and we're grateful. Finally, I do want to acknowledge 3 elders who serve as advisory to NMIPL, Reverend Anita Amstutz, Larry Rasmussen, and Sister Rosemarie Sacchini. So I think that covers my introductions, and I would now like to pass things on to Sister Joan.
So thank you so much, Stephen, and welcome everyone. And we're going to begin with a short prayer by Sister Rosemary, who is in Gallup, but here with us virtually tonight. So thank you, Rosemary.
And good evening, everyone. It's truly a blessing to join you for your NMIPL fall gathering. And autumn is a season of abundant harvest, and it invites us to expressions of gratitude. So I'd like to offer this prayer of gratitude. Heart of divine mystery, source of all created being, fountain fullness of ever-flowing love. From the depths of your loving intent to create and share being, there came spilling forth an infant universe, light-infused galaxies, stars, planets, and earth, where life came to birth. We're grateful for the gift of life we share with all beings of Earth community, for breath dependent on the atmosphere, cleansed by the ceaseless purifying labor of jungles, forests, trees, and plants, all joined in their sacred work to sustain the life of all. For rich harvests of crops, vegetables, fruits produced from the body of sacred earth, her fleshy soil, and daily resonance with the energies of the sun sourcing her fertility. We are grateful for sun and earth's intimate bond stretching back 4 billion years. We thank you for the mystery of creation, for the beauty that the eye can see, for the joy that the ear may hear, for the unknown that we cannot behold, filling the universe with wonder, for the expanse of space that draws us beyond the definitions of ourselves. We thank you for joining us together in communities, for families who nurture our becoming, for friends who love us by choice, for companions at work who share our burdens and daily tasks, for strangers who welcome us into their midst, for people from other lands who call us to enlarge our hearts in understanding, for children who lighten our moments with delight, who offer us hope for the future. We thank you for this day, for life and opportunity, for one more day to commit to caring for one another, for our communities, for all our creaturely kin in this beautiful sacred earth, ever reminding us of the original love gifting us into being. At this time of unparalleled challenge, in the midst of a worldwide coronavirus pandemic, we ask that you fill us with consciousness of your ever abiding presence and love flowing in and through us. Make us channels of hope, creativity, and new life, that we may join together in fostering mutually enhancing relations among all multi-species of creatures in life who share in our family bonds as one sacred earth community. And may our love be our lasting legacy. So be it.
Thank you so much, Sister Rosemary. And now Ruth will introduce, we have a wonderful treat tonight. We have our poet laureate and we're just delighted to have her. So Ruth is going to introduce her and she'll be offering some poems throughout our evening.
Good evening. Mary Owishi was named Albuquerque Poet Laureate on July 1st of this year. A familiar figure in New Mexico's poetry scene, she's the author of Spirit Birds They Told Me and co-author with her daughter, Asia Owishi, of Rock, Paper, Scissors, finalist for the New Mexico Arizona Book Award. She sponsors Poets in the Libraries, a series of events spotlighting both Albuquerque's public libraries and our wealth of amazing poets. Mary worked professionally and as an on-air personality in public radio for 25 years, retiring as KUNM's development director in early 2019 but continues to host a weekly blues music show on KSFR-FM radio in Santa Fe. Her involvement in the work of community and social justice is lifelong. She served as lead facilitator for an LGBTQ youth group for 17 years, produced Peace Buzz, an event of art as protest in 2003, and was an NGO delegate to the UN World Conference Against Racism in 2001. We are delighted to have Mary here tonight. Mary, thank you so much for coming. Please share your first poem with us now.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it. This is called Final Station of the Cross. So it only speaks to one faith tradition. Can you hear me? Yes. She hangs suspended in space, her head bowed with a crown of carbon dioxide and CFCs, her side speared by strip mines, abandoned drilling sites, nuclear waste depositories. Her faithful whale children beach themselves in desperate protest, but to no avail. Her faithful mountain keepers come down from the Andes to warn their wayward brothers. Her northern children cry out from their irradiated reindeer, their disappearing glaciers. And she cries out for her lost children too. Oh, Florida red wolf, oh, Arizona jaguar, oh, monk seal, oh, heath hen, she cries. Where is my mysterious starling, my great elephant bird, my red colobus monkey, my laughing owl, Clear Lake splittail, Caspian tiger, Mexican grizzly bear, Spanish wolf, dwarf hippopotamus, Sumatran lion, Eastern elk, Labrador duck, Japanese sea lion, New Zealand quail. Why can't I find my sea mink, my Barbary lion, my ivory-billed woodpecker, my hopping mouse? Why have my children forsaken me? But only silence, silence echoes from extinction's unmarked graves. And she dies more and more and more alone each hour, with none left to forgive the offending human child, Judas to us all, the mad marauder who cannot wash his guilty hands in toxic waste, whose silver cities will be cast aside like sins, whose missile silos will no longer gleam in that dark hour, who too will die when she cries, "It is finished," for he, the fool, is in his mother's womb.
Thank you so much, Mary. And your amazing poem speaks so profoundly of why we're here tonight and why we do this work, all of us. And also why we're going to be honoring some organizations, some groups that have done this for some a shorter time, some a longer time, out of love and great compassion for our earth and for everyone in the earth community. So thank you. So I am Joan Brown. I'm the executive director of Interfaith Power and Light. And I'd just like to give just a real brief overview of some of the things that NMIPL has been doing, all of you have been doing, and many others throughout this last year. But I want to start with a little story because this is such a challenging time. You know, I think stories can help us and help see the resilience. And as I say this even, I'm just thinking of Paula, who is with us with the New Mexico Seki Association. And as we're here tonight, some of the folks in the north are just suffering from the fire up there and also great concerns for that in northern New Mexico and our neighbors in Colorado as well. So this story that I want to share to begin with is actually a story about fire of a different sort. So, you know, I bake bread and I have have a dear friend who is a single mom, and she brings her son Mateo over often. And we were here a few weeks ago talking, and we were too engrossed in talking. I forgot the bread was in the oven at a very high temperature. when I realized it, I was pretty upset with myself, and the bread was like lumps of coal. So I took it out, and I was just very frustrated. But little Mateo, who is 7 years old, well, his mother, first of all, said, well, it's okay, let's eat it, let's eat it. She was trying to make me feel better. And her son said, who loves bread, who doesn't get that much of it, his mother limits him, said, well, let's eat it. So we started cutting through it. And he said, Sister Joan, I would say this is a huge success. The reason was it was burnt, it was crusty, but he could have as much as he wanted. So it reminded me of how children have a sense sometimes of making the best out of a difficult situation. And St. Francis of Assisi did the same thing. And he had this expression, oh, perfect joy. So when the brothers would slam the door in his face with the other brothers, he would say, oh, it's perfect joy. When they didn't have enough food to eat, he'd say, oh, it's perfect joy. Well, it's kind of an irony, but what that perfect joy is we still have each other. And we somehow have these deep roots of spiritual tradition or our religious traditions. And we know that somehow we will make it through, and we will do that. And isn't that a perfect joy, a grace? So I've been thinking of that a lot in these months, because they've been very difficult and challenging for all of us, and are going to continue to be, both with climate change, with COVID, with the economy, with many things. And so in the midst of that, there are many gifts, though, and it's each of us. And it's the deep rootedness we have in our spiritual traditions, in grace that keep us going. And I've seen it, and I just want to share a few of the ways I've seen that. So I've seen it in, a number of people of faith as they've taken the plunge to even work in public policy advocacy, showing up at public regulatory commission hearings around the closure of San Juan Power Plant, and advocating for a plan that would have funds to help our brothers and sisters in the northwest part of the state. At the Nuclear Regulatory Commission, trying to stop another toxic waste dump of nuclear waste from nuclear power plants in the southeast part of the state. At hearings to get new methane rules with the Oil and Gas Conservation Division and NMED, and addressing produced water and many other things. And faith leaders who've signed faith leader letters. And some of you are on this call here tonight that have been presented to legislative and leaders. And I've witnessed it in many of the prayers and the community and educational events that I've had. We have a Laudato Si Circle group that has had, even through the coronavirus here, about 4 different presentations this year. And another one is planned on November 23rd to talk about environmental justice and putting our faith in action. And I've seen it with the young adult group that Clara Sims, who's now in divinity school, working on divinity and ecology, worked with. And now Emily Sayal, who is a wonderful staff person with us, is working to have young adult groups. And I just might mention that there's an event tomorrow night at 6:30 on what inspires us to vote as young people, and a conversation. And if you have somebody you'd like to join into that, just contact Emily at nm-ipl.org. I've seen this perfect joy in the community and bringing up gifts with folks in Citizens Caring for the Future, which we're going to honor here briefly. And folks that are ordinary citizens speaking up for the health of their communities, for caring for the earth in the Permian Basin, in the oil and gas region. And with creative initiatives like the Sikh community that we're going to also honor, with a Forest of Bliss and interfaith tree plantings. And also, I've been inspired by the Cool Congregations Committee that's working with faith communities to do energy efficiency and solar, and in temples and churches and places like St. Francis Episcopal in Rio Rancho that's addressing their energy. And Holy Cross Retreat Center down in Mesilla that put on solar panels, and Temple Nahalat Shalom that we're going to honor for solar and other good work that they're doing. We've also been challenged this year to uncover and address the faces of racism, which are many, and grappling with that very difficult issue. And Interfaith Power and Light has been called forth to help work with some of our faith leaders and organize things around that. So in Albuquerque, for instance, we're joining in with a moral after the election day car rally that everyone is invited to, and just look for information about that. I'm also very grateful for our board and all of the extra work of some of those folks, many of them who are on committees, et cetera. And I just like to call out one, Terry Sloan, because he's pushed us to work and engage in the Green Amendment, which is something going forth at the legislative session. And if it passes then to our state, that would state in all of our regulations and things that we decide, there has to be consideration of the health of communities and protection and care of our water, land, and air. And I'm so grateful for Emily and for Carlos, whom I work with, who do just amazing work. And Carlos has been working hard on a new website update with someone, and watch in a couple of weeks for that new website. And for Rita Snyder, who is a dedicated volunteer that helps make our work possible, because she does free grant writing for our organization and is wonderful. And we've put her to help with some other organizations that we collaborate with, like Gallup Solar, and also with Communities for Clean Water, addressing that issue. So we're very grateful for that. And given this time, unusual time that we're in, we've had some unusual opportunities because everything is on Zoom. We have been invited to be part of national and even international presentations, like with the Catholic Global Climate Movement, which is an international group, and to offer presentations, and with Franciscan Action Network, and some things. We just did a recording for the United Methodist Women, or retreat centers and other venues. So the work of New Mexico is getting out beyond New Mexico, and people are so grateful for everything that's happening here in the state. And I am just so grateful for each of you. And all of that is such a blessing in the midst of challenges, and we just need to hold those graces and blessings, that perfect joy as we go forward, facing more fires and drought, and other challenges. But we can do this, and we can do, there's a popular song that says, I can do this hard thing. And I believe we are doing this hard thing together, and doing that with joy and integrity. So I just want to thank each of you gathered here, and everybody who's not gathered even tonight, for prayers, meditation, work in many different ways, and also for your financial gifts. So I just want to thank you. And with that, I'd like to invite Mary to offer us another one of her wonderful poems.
This one was written by my daughter, and it's in the book that we jointly published. It's called Fireflies. Once in my childhood, I believed the world was committed to fireflies. They blinked yellow lights in the trees, and on steamy evenings rose up from the grass to float little lanterns across the sky, eye high and higher. Summer's miracle. I believed they were as intrinsic to life as my parents, clouds and green good trees. Now, not even as a 30-year-old woman, I am living through their extinction. Many seasons since last I laid eyes on their little glow, little dance, my body long since committed to red rock, dry gulch. Memory of those foggy east lands and their summer lanterns fades, and did I ever really see them at all? The papers say scientists warn loss of honeybees, soft-winged bats, fireflies across the East Coast. Scientists baffled by quiet fading of summer lights that once in my childhood I believed to be lovely as stars and as eternal.
Thank you again, Mary. And now we'd like to honor our 4 awardees tonight, and several of our board members, Ruth I think, Ruth, you're going to start with that. Before you do that, I just want to make one mention of the award that they're receiving. And just a quote from that award by a Salvadoran martyr, Bishop Oscar Romero. And this is on the award. We plant seeds that one day will grow. We water seeds already planted, knowing that they hold future promise. And these seed awards are offered to community groups who work together, complementary seeds. So Ruth, if you would begin.
Thank you, Joan. Our first award is to the New Mexico Acequia Association. The mission of the New Mexico Acequia Association is to protect water and our acequias, grow healthy food for our families and communities, and to honor our cultural heritage. We are honoring the NMAA because of their tireless work for 31 years, protecting water, culture, and spiritual traditions, small-scale agriculture, and community in rural New Mexico. They integrate their love of community, culture, religion, and land, air, and water into their work as a nonprofit made up of acequia leaders at local levels. It is a wonderful honor to be able to celebrate them. New Mexico would not be the same without their leadership and vision. Their tireless executive director, Paula Garcia of Mora, is here with us tonight to accept the award. Before she speaks, we're going to watch a trailer for the film our own R.C. Chapa is making about New Mexico acequias.
Of all the natural resources in New Mexico, there's only one that can support life. The University of New Mexico proudly presents a Center for Regional Studies film production of an extraordinary documentary event that honors New Mexico's acequia culture.
It's really a sacred heritage, no? It's been around for more than 400 years.
Acequias endured for many generations out of the sheer necessity that we had to feed ourselves. It was survival.
When the Españoles came, they observed irrigation in place by some of the pueblos, and they marveled at the system and how it functioned. Their goal was a much larger scale.
When they dug an acequia, they were creating an artificial stream. What were relatively narrow ribbons of water and plants in our very arid landscape, they created these lush, broad valleys.
They set up acequias to see if it was viable to inhabit a certain place. This landscape is green because of the acequias. It's not naturally green, it's culturally green.
That's what we've been doing here for over 400 years, is bringing the water to our communities. We lived in a forest of fruit-bearing trees.
If you can imagine the richness of that ecosystem, that was a paradise.
This is not some primitive, kind of folksy, quaint system, digging ditches. It's actually really part of a changing and dynamic world.
There are approximately 700 acequias in the state.
They're not museum pieces. They serve a purpose.
For example, Rio Arriba County has $18 million that's coming into the economy because of agriculture. In Mora County, it's almost $12 million.
The acequias provide an example for what is resiliency in uncertain times.
Climate change is a major challenge for us.
The droughts of the future are going to be more severe. We're amongst the thirstiest of all the states. We are the second driest state in the nation.
Every plan is for Albuquerque to grow, for Santa Fe to grow. That means drilling more wells into more aquifers. It means getting water, however you can get it. We're going to kill the goose that laid the golden egg.
That's what makes our water so precious, and we have to be so vigilant about protecting.
The pressures are mounting. We're going to have to be prepared.
That is what the acequias are facing. They can't last without a real philosophical, ideological change in the attitude of all of us.
There is a deep need for there to be a movement around acequias, and we have a movement.
The acequias have demonstrated a resilience through organizing, whether it was the coming of the Americans, the coming of resort development, urbanization, water rights transfers. People have mobilized to hold on to what they have.
It's about the acequia system being protected by people of knowledge, people of the land, of traditional areas.
As long as we don't allow our consciousness to get dark, then yes, the acequias will survive.
We have people and communities across the state of New Mexico and in positions of power who recognize our ecology, our food systems, our livelihoods, our happiness, our aesthetics.
It has to come down to faith, and it has to come down to hope. We are going to persevere from this, and we are all going to come together and understand what's truly important is these gifts of nature, these gifts of culture.
The acequias are part of the fabric of our land and of our communities. If you let them die, a lot of other things will die with them. If you want to keep that lifeblood flowing, well, it flows in the acequias.
Paula, please talk to us.
Hi. Good evening, everyone. I'm Paula Garcia, and I'm deeply honored to receive this award on behalf of the New Mexico Acequia Association, and also that our beautiful acequias are the subject of this beautiful film by the incomparable R.C. Chapa, and to hear the voices of so many of our community members was, for me, a wonderful vision to share that with you today. And I'm humbled by this award, knowing of the profound work of Interfaith Power and Light under the sage wisdom of Sister Joan, who we work with in Communities for Clean Water. I want to thank you for recognizing the profound importance of water, the ancient traditions that are still embodied in the acequias, and the worldview that water is life, that el agua es vida, and that the movement to protect our water has to extend to all people and all creatures, that the traditions that are embodied in the acequias recognize that water is essential for the survival of all living things. And the ancient wisdom of water sharing is something that we want to bring into the modern times, and recognize that if water is just viewed as a commodity that we exploit or that we profit from, that all of our communities and all of life will suffer. And we're going into a time of in our history, and a critical time in which we have to dig deep into these core values, into the ancient wisdom that's part of our faith traditions and part of our core values that view water as a sacred trust and a commons that we have to protect for all living things and for future generations. So with that, I want to thank you very much for this honor, and thank you for all of your beautiful and meaningful work on behalf of all of creation and for our planet and for our people and communities. Thank you.
Thank you.
Perfect joy.
Our next award.
Charlotte, you're muted.
Sorry about that. So the next award is presented to the Albuquerque seat Gurdwara, and Aaron Singh is going to accept the seat award for their Forest of Bliss project. And there's going to be a film and then he can say a few words about that. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. Good evening. And can you hear me? Yes. Okay, great. So I'm Aaron Singh, and I'm with the Albuquerque Sikh community. And I am very, very honored to accept this award for our Forest of Bliss project. And I don't know how much you know about it, but we're in the sort of the early stages of it. The idea is to plant trees, a large interfaith project where everybody's going to plant trees. And right now we're in the early stages of planning for this. And so what's really beautiful about that is that right now sort of anything is possible. So we're going to kind of work with the city, perhaps maybe a large city park or a parcel of land where we can essentially plant a forest of trees that we call them the Forest of Bliss. It might be a place where different faiths are represented, where people can go to kind of meditate and just sort of relax and have a peaceful, beautiful time. So that's the idea behind it. And again, very, very thank you, big thank you for that recognition, and thanks to everyone at Interfaith Power and Light for all the work. And I was thinking about this earlier. We're a relatively small group, but what's also beautiful about this is that when everybody sort of works together, a small group can do join a bigger group, and a bigger group can do really big things. And so that's beautiful. And thank you for the opportunity to work with all of you in the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Aaron. So our next, did you want?
Yes,
would he like to say some more?
There is Charlotte, there is a video.
Okay.
Or maybe we have a little technological glitch. So maybe we should move on to the next person.
Okay. So our next person receiving the award for this Seed Award is Nick King, who's the pastor in Carlsbad Mennonite Church, and he'll receive the award for the Citizens Caring for Future. And I believe there is a film about their work. And then if Pastor King would like to say a few words, that would be great.
Did you want to show this Kavu film first?
Yes, we had planned to show the film first, and then you could say a few words, Nick.
Exactly. The source was, what did the president say in January? He said, no, he said, he's being transparent. President China's being transparent. We owe a debt of gratitude. We have to thank him. And then what happened was we started talking about using the Defense Act to make sure we
are people, are my videos not showing up? Because I was.
He had nothing, he did virtually.
No, it's not showing up.
Okay, let me try again with this is a really good video with from Carlsbad. So let me see if I can try it.
And if there are any participants who might have some background noise going on, if you could please mute.
It'll take me just a second here.
I said, this is dangerous. And you catch it. And I caught it. I learned a lot. 40 doctors, great hospitals. And now I recovered 99.9 recover. 99% of people recover. We have to recover. We can't close up our nation. We have to open our school, and we can't close up our nation.
Nice place to live.
Can everyone see that?
I grew up in Carlsbad, and it was a very small town, very nice place to live, very good community. People cared for each other.
Some of my favorite things about Carlsbad are the wide open spaces here, that the desert and the beauty and the variety grows on a person. And of course, the caverns, there's a reason why they're a World Heritage Site that everybody should see.
Well, I guess my favorite thing about living in this area is, first of all, we don't have winter. People here don't know what winter is, and I love the desert. I've come to know it after many years of being in it and riding around in it.
So much here in Carlsbad that's beautiful, but lately you can't see it because there's so much ugly going on. It's breaking me.
In 2010, there were 29,000 people in Carlsbad. Because oil companies are pouring into this area of the Permian Basin, the city says there are about 70,000 people now.
The oil starting to boom again in New Mexico. Workers are pouring in again. That means another housing crunch and soaring hotel prices.
The average hotel price in the city can scare away tourists.
Since we've had the oil and gas boom, the town has changed completely. It's a boom town, so we now have all the problems that go along with that as far as traffic, crime, and people are just not as friendly as they used to be. You could never find a place to rent. To buy a place here was almost impossible. It's changed so much that I think about leaving.
An unprecedented collapse in the price of oil mixed with a pandemic that's claimed lives and gutted the global demand for crude, putting livelihoods in jeopardy amidst an uncertain future.
The U.S. has not seen a drop like this since the early 80s. This, of course, is bad news for New Mexico and its dependence on oil revenues.
About a third of our state's revenue comes from oil production, so today's drop in the market is hitting New Mexico oil producers hard.
We're highly dependent on one giant source of revenue for the state, which is natural resource extractive revenues from oil and gas. And so our fortunes as a state really rise and fall with the industry. So when times are good, when things are booming, our state is succeeding and prosperous, and we're able to invest in things like education and higher ed and all the things that we care about. And when times are bad, like they are right now during this pandemic, it becomes really hard to fund even basic services, and we find ourselves having to cut the budget.
One of the most dangerous things about the boom and bust cycle is how irresponsible some of the oil and gas companies are. And we see this especially with abandoned wells. So when these more independent oil and gas companies try to build their own well sites that emit massive amounts of methane and toxic gases, which affect frontline communities, that in and of itself is horrible. But we see the lack of sustainability and just volatile nature of this industry when something like the COVID pandemic happens and these companies go bankrupt and they're not accountable for the infrastructure that they've already left in place.
Some are leaking smoke.
If we have oil and gas continuing, and it probably will for at least the next decade, we need to have some regulations on that. Right now, for the last 8 years up until the last year, there's been virtually no accountability. All problems were self-reported by the industry, and there was really no enforcement of anything that was reported. Nothing in 8 years. Hopefully, before the governor now, there's a good process where the industry and the environmentalists get together and everybody has a voice in putting these regulations together that would be fair for everybody, for the health of the people, for the good of the industry.
Pastor King, if you would like to say some words about your award in the organization, that would be great.
I would be very honored to accept this distinguished award. It is a real honor that we certainly, but I would be remiss to accept it without realizing where this all came from. It was Sister Joan, Natalie Eddy, and some others that birthed this group and pushed us into action in the last year and a half, 2 years. In fact, I always thought that Sister Joan must be putting all her energy into Southeast New Mexico to keep us all busy down here. She has a way of finding people for us to interview and talk to legislative committees and all kind of things that she can keep us busy with all the time. I don't know how she has time to do things for other groups too. But Natalie Eddy from Earthworks has been instrumental in helping to push this, help organize that, and have been very valuable resources, organizers in putting this all together. There's a group of about 8 or 10 email list of close to 100 people that are involved in this Citizens Caring for the Future here in Carlsbad. We focused mainly on methane issues because the flaring and venting issues are so very visible anytime you drive around there. Also, we've done some stuff on produced water. We've had some doctors come in and do presentations on health issues. We've had various other groups come in. We've had climate reality presentations, just a lot of different things, but it's been somewhat more difficult to have groups now with the COVID. But our sincere thanks to Joan and to Natalie for their tireless work in keeping us all busy down here and prodding us on to speak out and to be a voice in this very conservative area where conservative means oil and gas and values of the last century. But, thanks, and we certainly appreciate the seed grant that you give, or the seed award.
Thank you, Nick. I get to announce our last award. This is given to Nahalat Shalom and their president, Chuck Bucksbaum. Nahalat Shalom is a Jewish renewal congregation located in Albuquerque's North Valley, founded in 1982 by a group looking for a welcoming place to practice inclusive Judaism. Their passions include respect for the earth and all living things. Their synagogue is a renovated church, and part of the renovations included replacing concrete pavers with a lush garden of fruit trees, grapevines, and blooming plants. We are celebrating their commitment to the environment, including their photovoltaic solar system. Here to accept the award is Chuck Bucksbaum, president of the congregation and longtime science teacher at Sandia Preparatory School. Chuck, thank you for joining us tonight. And we are going to show a video before Chuck speaks.
Further our environmental mission. Shalom. My name is Chuck Buxbaum. I am a co-president here at Nahalat Shalom. We're a congregation on Rio Grande Boulevard in Albuquerque. We've been around for 4 decades, and part of our mission is the pursuit of Tikkun Olam. Tikkun Olam in Hebrew is Hebrew for healing the world. We're committed to social justice, to outreach for people in need, and one of our focuses is on healing the planet and environmental work. To achieve that, we've done a variety of things, including putting in photovoltaic power for our electricity. We've basically zeroed out our consumption of electricity. We have composting here on site when we have activities. Right now, of course, everything's on hold. We have rainwater collection. We have this beautiful courtyard with fruit trees that we maintain and we ultimately can eat. And we have a green team and a Tikkun Olam committee, 2 committees that are basically focused on what more can we do? How can we further our environmental mission? Last year we hosted a weekend workshop for 350.org. We basically offered them our space and will continue to do so in the future. And we have multiple groups that use our space, so it's not vacant all the time in normal times when we're not in a pandemic. But talking about the pandemic, we've also gone and provided masks for people in the northwestern New Mexico. We've gone and provided services for people from our congregation and from the broader community who are homebound because of COVID. And so we perceive that environmental justice and social justice are one and not separable. The concept that drives this forward is the concept of Shomrei Adama, which is a biblical commandment to be stewards of the earth. Adama means the earth, the ground, the soil. Shomrei are guards or stewards or shepherds of. And so that's how we perceive ourselves in this congregation and how we perceive that as our sacred mission.
Well, on behalf of Nahalat Shalom, as one of the co-presidents, along with my, that's upside down, with my colleague, Erwin Mellis, and we're both environmental scientists, coincidentally. I'm really grateful for this acknowledgement. And I feel like we are really just starting. For years, Nahalat Shalom, we're a small congregation, small but mighty. And I feel for years we've been so focused on how do we keep ourselves afloat. And I think now we're at a stage, we're turning that corner where we can look outward towards the broader community. We've joined Albuquerque Interfaith. We share events with the Islamic Center of New Mexico. We've support the Health Security for New Mexicans campaign. We've done raised funds for East Central Ministries. We are trying to become much more involved in the broader community. And I hope Interfaith Power and Light, I hope you guys are next in our sights in terms of we would like to do more with you and support what you guys do, because I think it's so important for faith communities to have their voices heard on these issues that are really about achieving a future, right, and maintaining that. So on that, I just want to again thank you and acknowledge the amazing work that.
Remember that very well. During your term, during you and Barack Obama, they took over a big part of.
Sorry, guys. Okay. Well, that wasn't me. But, all right. Thank you. Thanks again.
So thank you so much for all these wonderful projects and awards, you know, all of them. We do still have a Seek video that we would love to show before we have our last poem and then just end our evening. So we just had a little technical glitch there. So if we could see that first, and then we'll have another poem, and we'll just close with a big thank you to everyone.
Hi, my name is Aaron Singh, and I'm a member of the Sikh community here in New Mexico. And I've been asked to say a few words about our tree planting project. But first, I would like to say thank you to Interfaith Power and Light for all the hard work that they've done to help make these kinds of projects possible. I am here in Alvarado Park, which is in the Alvarado Park neighborhood, and our Gurdwara, which is our house of worship, is located nearby. It was founded in 2004, and it serves roughly about 30 families here in town. Now, the founder of Sikhism was a man named Nanak. We call him Guru Nanak, and he was born in 1469 in what is present-day Pakistan. And Guru Nanak taught three basic principles, what we call the three pillars of Sikhism. And the first is to always remember God. The second is to live an honest life. And the third is to give back to the community through seva. And seva is translated as community service or selfless service. Another main idea of Sikhism is the idea of one creation. And the very first two words in our Sikh scripture book are Ik Onkar, which can be translated as one creation. And the idea here is that we're all connected, we're all a part of this one creation. I would like to read just a brief excerpt from the Sikh statement on climate change. Today, the earth is vulnerable because of climate change and because humans have not protected the environment. We must make amends with the earth. Our Mother Earth has gone through undeniable changes at the hands of humans. It is abundantly clear that our actions have caused great damage. As Sikhs, we must appeal to lawmakers, faith leaders, and citizens of the world to take concrete action to reduce carbon emissions and to take measures to protect the environment. As Sikhs, we pledge to take concrete action ourselves. Seva, the practice of selfless service, is a main tenet of Sikhism. Sikhs can perform seva by reducing carbon footprints, recycling, investing in renewable energies, and being mindful of where our food comes from. Respect for nature is ingrained within Sikh teachings. If we act now, we can protect our atmosphere, our water, and our earth for both ourselves and for future generations. And that was a statement from an organization called Eco-Sikh in India. Now, the whole idea of the tree planting project is to commemorate the life and teachings of Guru Nanak. And again, Guru Nanak was born in 1469, and so 2019 was the 550th birth anniversary. And so the idea is to plant 550 trees in his memory. Now, I'm here again in Alvarado Park, and so last year we started our 550 tree planting with the first 5 trees, and we planted them right here. So I'm sort of standing in the middle of our 5 trees. Since then, there have been additional plantings in the International District, as well as at the Rio Grande Community Farm. And currently, the project that we're working on, or we're starting, is called the Forest of Bliss. And the idea with this is to plant a large number of trees and it to be an interfaith effort. So just to kind of bring all of this together, the tree plantings bring together the concept of seva, which is selfless service, which I have already mentioned, and also the idea of ikonkar, or one creation. And here the idea is that we are all in this together, we are all connected in one larger creation, and as a result, that we should be good stewards of the earth. And with Guru's blessings, I would just say thank you very much for recognition, and thanks again to the Interfaith Power and Light for this recognition. Thank you.
So, Aaron, thank you. And Carlos, thank you for letting us see that wonderful explanation. So I think we just need to do a silent round of applause for everyone, and much, much gratitude. And this has been so inspiring and just helps lift us up in these challenging times. It's wonderful to know we're all community together doing this great work. And Mary has a wonderful poem to share with us as we close. So Mary, thank you.
Thank you. When I sing of seeds, mine is not a song of acorns and grains, kernels and cones, not when I sing of seeds. When I sing of seeds falling from trees, wrapped in fruit, floating lightly bearded in the breeze, in a bird's beak, a squirrel's cheek, a gardener's loving hand, I sing not of seeds, but of blossoms fragrant, bursting fuchsia and crimson and gold. I sing of majestic trees that join wind and earth and sun for 2,000 years when I sing of seeds. When I sing of seeds, I sing harvest, sing baskets of corn to be husked, sing peas to be shelled, shells to be cracked and released of their nut meats when I sing of seeds. When I sing of seeds, I sing roasting and baking and grilling, sing conversations around the table, silverware clanking, appetites satisfied when I sing of seeds. When I sing of seeds, I sing 30 years down the road, a child yet unborn crunching into an apple. When I sing of seeds, I sing of bouquets picked and handed to mothers with love in the year 2999. When I sing of seeds, my song rises verse after verse into all that is life, a swell of possibility when I sing of seeds. When I sing of seeds, I sing down 7 generations times 7 times 7. When I sing of seeds, my song never ends. My song never ends when I sing of seeds.
Mary, thank you so much. Just a beautiful way to end our evening, and for us to go into the night and dreaming of seeds and our work together to plant, eat, and share those seeds with future generations. So it's just wonderful to have you, and that you're our poet laureate. We're so pleased.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone, and all of our awardees. This is just very inspiring, and much gratitude. And let us just continue forth together as one sacred earth community, caring for one another and our water, land, air in this place in New Mexico. So thank you all. Have a good night.